Well, good evening. It's great to start to see some people coming in already. That we've got a few people already into the room over here. First of all, let me say, hey, Don Weiberg, good to see you. My good friend in Chicago who is here already. This is going to be a good episode. You guys need to be here early to make sure you don't miss a thing because this will be a wonderful evening. So thanks again. And John Custer, also glad that you're here then too. Yes, hello. Glad you're here. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, and Gene Protis over here from Houston also. Thank you, Gino. Glad you're here then too. Glad that you made it. Make sure you guys have got your name tags and your adult beverages or whatever your drink of choice might be here for this evening. And I see that my sweetheart from Michigan is here, Harriet. Hello, Harriet. So glad that you're here then too. Hey, Jim Hathey. Jim is here then too. Jim, you know, you asked last week about where you get the name tags, or where you get the name badges. And if you go to tinyurl.com/m&m badges, you will find that. And I'm going to show that here shortly. So that way you can get one then too. Steve Mills, hey, good to see you then also. From Wichita Falls, love that guy. Steve is wonderful. Love to get together with him at the TOM every year. And yeah, Harriet, you're putting on your name badge. I guess that's what you're doing. And Marion's here from Canada. Marion Hopman, so glad that you're here with us, buddy. This is great. You're back. Haven't seen you in a couple weeks. I'm glad that you're back here with us. Then also we've got Mark Holstein is joining us then too. So thanks a lot for being here. And let me see. I'm going to change just a little bit. Okay. Okay. So that way we don't have any background or have anything problem with that. Yes, you're welcome, Jim. In fact, Jim, just for you, let me see if I can bring this up just real quickly and show you what I'm talking about. Where you would need to go. Let me see the banner over there. You will be going to. I can't find that straight away, but we will shortly. Where you're going to be able to get that badge, and that way. Oh wait, here it is. No, that's not it. Nevertheless, who else we got over here? Nick, hey, Nick's here too. Thanks, Nick, for joining us. We only got just a few seconds to go before the show here begins. And Len Radke is here. Hello, Len. Glad you're here. And so, yeah, I said Marion. I'm sorry. I know that it's Marine. Sorry, Marine. I know Marine. I apologize. I know that. Yes. And so let's see. Hey, Ron Sitnick is here then tonight, and we're going to show a picture of Ron. Ron has got his badge. Oh my gosh, it's almost time. It's time for the introduction. Hope you guys have got it. We'll see you soon on this side.
It's Thursday night. You know what that means. It's time for Magic and Martinis. Please welcome your host, Scott Wells.
All right. Hello. I'm glad you guys are all here. Hey, Mike Platten is also here from Tulsa. Back, yeah, I used to live in Tulsa from some time back. So glad that you're here then with us. I appreciate that a lot. And what was that? The magic word? You're going to track that. Okay, well, and John Keever. Yeah, also, thank you very much for being here from Tampa Bay. Martinis are flowing. You're already wearing your badge. Should be a good one. And speaking of that, let me just take a cheers to you guys. Because let me see, where are a couple pictures I've got of some of the people who got their name badges, who have already got them. Of course, right over there is Don Sclair. So we've got Dan, who is Dan Sclair, who was wearing his badge, and we got over there is Don Weiberg. I know he's here this evening. We already said hello. And Jerry Costello, who is in Florida, and you always see him at the 4F convention then each year. And there he is. There's David Harbour and John Keever as well. And let me see what else we got. A couple of people. Let's see. There's Robin Byers-Pierce, and there's Ron Siddick was there. Thank you, Ron, for sending that picture in this afternoon and for joining us here tonight. And then also Harriet Jacobson, who's here, and Mark Rich with his. So that's the way to do it, folks. And I've got, let me see if I can take that back out and put on my name badge as well. I don't want to necessarily block whatever that I've got, because you see I'm wearing a very special T-shirt over here this evening that used to fit me a long time ago, but this was a large, and so I've got to be a little bit larger than that. So what, these things have in common. This right here, also the beverage container would have something to do with tonight's person. And then finally, we've got this that might be from something. So these three things have something in common with the people we're going to be seeing here this evening. Let's see, a couple of the people that just jumped in. Oh, yes, thank you very much, Ron, for that is the thing right there. For what people are looking for that is going to be the tiny URL. Let me see that I can put it over there. There it is. So it's going to be just right below us over there, the tiny URL. M&M badge. Let me take his thing back off of there, so you know exactly where to go get your free name badge, and you can download that. Put your photo or your name right over there in that little area. You kind of get the general idea. Download that and join the fun. And so, yeah, Dan, I'm glad that you're here. Thanks very much for joining us. Let me just kind of take this banner down and get ready for the next one, because we have got some. Oh, real quick. I want to mention this then too. What we have then this week on the Magic Word podcast. I released this morning with Sean J. Be sure to check out that podcast with with Sean. He was my guest, and I know that you will enjoy that. Has a lot of really good ideas. He's a very creative young man, been on Masters of Illusion. And then also, if you would prefer to see the video of that, we recorded that, which was on YouTube, and you can see that then as well. But speaking of my podcast, that one of the guests tonight has one which I highly recommend that you check out, is Creativity and Captivity with Pat Hazel. We'll talk a little bit about that then here a little bit later, but that is a phenomenal podcast that I recommend. And how that little kitten getting there, I don't know what that little kitty cat wants, but if you can help out that kitty, please, she would probably appreciate you subscribing to the channel over there. That would be great. So let's see, Ted Danger's over there, Panama City. So glad that you're here, Ted. And it was good chatting with you last week then as well. My son, Sean, of course. Cheers to you, my son. Good seeing you and the granddaughters, Harper and Sloan, my twins, who will soon be turning 11 years old over there in Midland. Hey, listen, we got a lot of stuff going on. Let me bring on some guests, and I'm going to, as I normally do, I like to let the video speak for itself rather than giving you a resume of the person. So let me bring out the first person with that little bit of introduction from this video, which you will see now. And there he is. Please welcome my guest tonight, Mr. David Kaplan. And there he is. Yay! We need some applause also over there. Hey, Dave. So glad that you're here with us this evening. I'm glad you're with us to have a little drinky poo. What have you got in your glass there tonight?
Oh, wow. I'm a little disoriented. I've been in the closet for 4 hours waiting for that, Scott.
Only for 4 hours?
Yeah. It's interesting you asked what I have to drink. I have this box, ordinary box, completely ungimmicked, totally empty, like something anybody would have laying around the house. I waved my hand over the box and...
Holy cow, look at that.
Zima,
boy, they still make that? Holy moly. Okay. Thank you. I'm glad you brought that.
Actually, I was planning to do Mentos and Coke, but the rehearsal got a little messy.
And that's why you're in a different room tonight, I guess. Is that right? Mm-hmm. And that's what the mess is in the closet. Hey, one thing I forgot to mention to everybody, just real quickly, that putting this show together tonight was not as easy as you might think, of just kind of calling some friends and saying, hey, can we put this together? Because the timing has to be just right for this. And sometimes it's a little bit difficult. So, and also I put together a little promotional video or promotional graphic, if you will, of the people who are in each week's episode. But also, then I text everybody to make sure that they're going to be online, everything works okay. And I thought you might kind of appreciate some of the behind the scenes things that happen whenever I'm trying to put these things together. So David Kaplan begins, looking forward to it. The graphic looks great. Don't mean to be a pest, but is there any chance you can use a large font for my name? All caps, maybe. And I said, any suggested font that you want. And then Jeff comes in and says, looks like a chart of the progression of men's facial hair. And I said, Comics Sans Serif, maybe? And David says, any font is fine, just make it really huge. And Pat says, if you make David's font huge, you can scale mine, done to a whisper to make them more curious. And David says, more curious. Hadn't thought of that. Interesting concept. Scott, when you're working on my new font, can you put a question mark after my name? A giant one. Pat says, I would like an ellipse. Leave them wanting more. And I said, I should have known that working with demanding celebrities would be difficult. I'm waiting to see what demands Jeff will want in his trailer. Mauve curtains? And Pat says, a trailer? My writer reads a cabana with a masseuse and a warm pot of raw Manuka honey. Then I come back and say, but specifically excludes the bikini wax. And David says, wait a minute, Scott. In your PM, isn't Manuka honey one of the things you asked me to provide? What exactly is my role in this thing? And I said, David, I think you've got it figured out. And then Pat says, you guys work out the details. Then I said, David has really soft hands. Finally, Jeff comes back about his curtains, and he says, chartreuse, por favor. And I said, man, I didn't plan on going in the hole producing the show. First time I produced a show with a triumvirate of divas. And Pat comes back and says, please capitalize the term triumvirate of divas, trademark, whenever used in print. And David says, this might be a good time to cut your losses. How about you pay us $300 each and we forget this whole thing ever happened? Jeff says, I like where this is going. Pat says, if this is a favored nations agreement, I will ask $400 to raise the water level for all boats. And then I come back and say, I don't like where this is going. At this rate, I'll be broke by noon tomorrow. And I also say, I may be only able to afford half of one of you. And David says, which half? I say, the cheaper half. Yeah, not easy working with these guys. But I'm glad you're here, David. And so let's bring in the next guest who has a little bit to say. I think this will tell you something about his style.
First of all, I was doing funny stuff even when I was like in high school and college. One thing I always did when I flew on airplanes was I would take the air sickness bag out of the seat in front of me for motion sickness, and I would tear the bottom out of the bag, and then I would fold it up and put it back in the seat. And I'm not sure if it's funny, but I bet it paid off at one point. Kind of a public safety announcement. I know you'll check it now every time. Here's something I got at the grocery store recently. This is the grocery spacer. Do you recognize? I didn't know what it was. It was in my groceries when I got home, and I'm thinking, what did I buy this? I'm like, what the hell? Is this supposed to keep a draft from under the door? I couldn't figure it, and I was like, oh. And I look on the receipt, $7 they charged me for this thing. It's not right. It's a powerful thing. This is the grocery spacer. It separates your groceries from other people's groceries. Have you ever, it goes down. It's the invisible boundary of death. You know, have you lost your chips on those are my chips. Nobody will reach across those are my chips. Can you? Right? They can back you right into the freezer section with this thing. Oh my God. No, I was so close. Right? I like to ask questions every time I grocery shop. You know, I hate when they say, is that everything? Is that everything? Groceries, period. This is the punctuation. No, I need a kayak and a dozen piñatas. What do you think? But here's a question. I love to ask this every time I grocery shop. I like to ask, is this enough toilet paper for the amount of groceries I bought? And they're like assessing, well, it's a 4-pack. Are you going to be eating the evaporated milk? That could level you out. What's the story on evaporated milk? Shouldn't the can be empty when you open it up? That's an extra good laugh. I like that.
There he is, Pat Hazel. You're killing me, man. Very funny.
Nothing funnier than reading other people's texts to get the show going, right?
Exactly.
Zoom and is the medium that killed comedy.
Yeah, because you can't really hear people, or you can't feel them. It's not quite the same. Exactly. What have you got your toasting with there this evening? You got anything? A little beverage?
Yes, I have floating water.
Floating
See?
water?
Whoa! It was right above my computer.
You are a magician indeed, my friend. Speaking of magicians, let's bring on our last triumvirate of divas, comedy divas, over here. There he comes.
Brand new pack of playing cards, sanitized wrapper for your protection. Few jokers don't need him because I'm here. Take this pen, the one they were giving away at my bank. What I'd like you to do. Take the pen, sign your name, Frank, or backwards, Hunarf, and sign your name. Quick, go, sign. Move in your shirt. Yo quiero Taco Bell. Place the card in my fingertips with the face outward like this so I cannot see the face. Thank you. Can everyone see his signature? Everyone? Mm-hmm. Look at the lady. She's looking at the thing. Good. His card, most people say, Hobson, if you're really good, why don't you let him shuffle the cards? I say, I don't think so. Are you ready? Go ahead, Frank, real quickly. Just take the card, shuffle, mixy. I'll be right here. Tongue, I'll take the pack of cards, place it in my mouth, locate his card, with the signature with my tongue in my mouth, fold 3 times. Is this your card? Is this your card? Is this your card? My part, my bomb must be somewhere in the middle. I got it. It's folded once, twice, 3 times. Could it be? Would it be Frank? Your card, your signature? What do you say?
Yes.
Yes. There it is. His card, his signature. That's amazing, ladies and gentlemen. What do you say? The man, the myth, the legend, Frank, right here for coming out. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for being a.
And there he is, Mr. Jeff Hobson at Abbott's.
I had to compete with Dave's intro. I didn't have any freaking music, or I've been out of the closet for already many months. So,
Well, yes, so glad that you are here, and also welcome from Abbott's or Marvin's Magic Theater, wherever you are.
Yes. It's the magic of it's the magic of green screen.
The magic of green screen, indeed. So,
Actually,
what have you got?
I was performing at a kids' party at the border at El Paso, but I came here instead. I'm glad you guys laughed at that. I was worried.
That's a good character name for you, right? Green screen. The magic of green screen. That could be your superhero character.
Yes.
That's your superpower. The use of the green screen, that you can do it unlike anybody else, that you're super.
Exactly. And a little toast to you guys. I got my little martini here. Take it like.
Oh, good.
It's a big.
Just
all
one.
Right. Cheers to you.
Oh, I've got dinner for the show too. I got a Last Supper TV dinner.
Heavenly sent. Okay.
It says it's loaves and fishes without the stoves and dishes. So that's dinner for 12.
I thought my kids show at the border was tacky.
Can we go further? I don't know.
Well, I'm sure. Dave, look at Dave sitting there.
It's not sacrilegious. It's sacrilegious. Anyway, I thought you'd like that, Hobson.
Oh, I'm stealing that. Yeah, I'm doing it at Abbott's.
Very funny. Yeah. Yes, that's what Mark Holstein says. Yay, Abbott. Speaking of Abbott's, by the way, I had a comment over there that Mark Holstein had said that Bargatze took out the organist at Abbott's with David's bowling ball.
Yes, that's true.
That sounds like there must be a story there.
He said, "You mind if I do that?" Because it was the next night after I did my bit, and he said, "You think that'll be funny?" I go, "No, don't do that." And he did it, and it was funny. And I don't know many people that could pull that off. But you know what happened?
No, what's the story?
He was doing his act, and Wilma was on stage. He had Wilma come up on stage, and then he kind of looked up.
Yeah.
And the curtain closed, and then you hear boom, and then they open the curtain, and Wilma's on the ground. She's like 90 years old, right? She's laying on the ground. There's a bowling ball next to her head, and Bargatze gives her mouth to mouth to bring her back. It was great. Yeah.
Dan Sclair said he has one of your ukuleles when he's working as stage manager at OMI Cape Cod. How many of those do you have? How many ukes do you have?
How many do I have left?
Well, you probably got quite a few since you haven't worked a lot in the last year.
Well, I haven't replenished my supply, but I've gone through probably 1,000 of them or more. I've been doing it since about 2007 or 8. So yeah, I've go through quite a few.
And didn't you tell me you have a new show? You what?
I'm not that proud of it. It's getting expensive, you know.
Getting expensive.
Well, with the fuel and the lumber, costs of building ukuleles, the lumber costs are really going up, aren't they?
They've gone up. It went up a lot last year. I don't know what
the uke costs have gone up.
Yes.
Never would have thought about that. So I assume that there are different levels and prices of ukes that you can.
I only get the most expensive ones.
Well, that's because you charge a lot for your show, which makes sense. Then, I mean, you don't have, you got to replenish that over there. So tell me, by the way, a little bit about the Pat, about your creativity and captivity. I know you got this new thing. By the way, let me just kind of point out to everybody. I think about you every day, and one of the reasons I do is because that I have over here. Let me see if I can get this. I see a couple of photos. One was you doing your upside down straitjacket escape in.
You're holding that upside down, by the way.
I am. So you're right. There we go. Well, it looks a lot better. Makes a lot more sense this way, doesn't it?
It was more impressive when 3,000 people were hanging upside down like bats, but.
But you were in the warehouse district there in Omaha when you were doing that. And along about that time is whenever that you had this poster also, which I've got hanging on the wall.
You have the real archive. Between that T-shirt and that poster.
I love you, man.
It's like you're my mom. Like those are the only people that have that stuff anymore.
They are
Caitlin.
collector's items. What'd you say, Jeff?
Oh, no, you said it's Pat says he's like, you're like his mom. And I said, he goes as Caitlin.
Right.
Silly shit.
Caitlin. I got it.
I will tell you that by the way, to no offense to any, kudos to real escape artists. I did that one time. I did that on Halloween for the anniversary of Houdini's death. I had no idea what I was doing. It was, it was insane that I prepared for it in the worst possible way. And because I didn't know there were straitjackets that you could trick up, I sent to some Indiana asylum and got a real straitjacket, which was a moronic. And I had some roommates and I said, listen, I got to practice this. Put me in this. And whatever I say, don't let me out of it. Like if I need to figure this out. And like a half hour later, they just left and they went out to dinner or did something. And I was just exhausted and wasn't anywhere close to getting out when they came back. So I knew what I did was I sprayed the inside of it with afterwards, I sprayed the inside of it with cooking Pam so my elbow would slide better. Like I was, it didn't come with any like magic instructions. So, and then the hanging upside down part, I had them without the jacket on. I hung upside down on a swing set to see how long I could stay upside down, which was 3 or 4 minutes before I was going to black out. So I was like, okay, well, I want to do it sooner than that. And then I got a crane company to donate their time, but I didn't get to work with them till they got to the old market. Like it's amazing that I'm here today, but because it was a big publicity stunt with very bad planning, but very good pictures.
Well, one of the other things I think was interesting about that story, and we discussed on one of the episodes of the podcast with you, because I thought it was funny. Your parents didn't know you were doing that until they saw it on the network news, and they were on vacation in Hawaii or something like that.
They were having their anniversary in Hawaii, and it was on the overnight news. So I didn't know that the local feed was going to send it to a national feed, and it was kind of like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where I kind of got caught doing that. But it was really fun. I was really glad to do it. I didn't really intend to continue doing it, but because it made all that news, I got a call from Vegas. I think the Splash show was just getting ready to start. And they said, hey, we'd love you to do this in, 2 shows a night, 7 days a week. And I said, well, then they know I get out of it. Like it's not a mystery if there's a second show every night,
He's going to make it.
Yeah, and there were like a half a dozen calls at car dealerships and I just said I'm not doing that stuff. But that's the mistake. You do something that you don't want to continue doing, and you make a big scene out of it.
I thought one of the funny things also, whenever I would go over and visit you at your place, because you lived in what used to be an oxygen factory, which had high ceilings and you could practice juggling and everything, was that.
But there was a lot of fresh air, though, right?
It was, but when people were calling, you said, let the phone ring, because people just wanted to hear your answering machine, because every day you had like a joke of the day on your recorded message.
Yes, but that seems stupid now, but that was when answering machines were a giant novelty, right? I mean, it was a very big deal to get somebody's message that didn't say at the beep, right?
Yeah.
So some stuff dies out, all my payphone jokes are bad now.
Yeah, some things certainly can be dated like that. Jeff, by the way, that Mark Holstein had asked, and some of your old friends recall Rhapsody in Blue. I do not recall that. Tell me about that.
Well, that was just a piece of music that I used when I used to do Dress All in Blue, Set of Tales back in the 70s, and did a billiard ball act and manipulation, and used Rhapsody in Blue for a lot of it. And people have just too good of memories, and I hate you all. So thank you. And I want to say hi to Harriet. I love you. And Len Ratty. And I think Terry and maybe Leah might be watching if they are. Hello, everybody. And Jerry Costello, all my Michigan and Midwest friends. Hello.
Both of them. Yep. They all they all love you over there then too. So you are actually at the Marvin's Magic Theater, and I will just kind of tell everybody right now that you and I had recently recorded an episode for the Magic Word, which is going to be coming out sometime in the future. So be sure and subscribe to the newsletter so this way, or the pod letter, so this way that you know when it's going to be coming out. But you were also talking then at the Marvin's Magic Theater, and it's going to be reopening this coming fall. Tell me something about what's happening.
Well, obviously during the, we had opened in the fall of 2019, and we were doing really well. By the time we hit March, man, we were, having a great number of months. And then of course we've been closed ever since, but we're on track to reopen this fall. It's a 129 seat theater, nicely raked. It's beautiful. It's everyone that comes in that from, either coast that are well versed in theatrics and theatrical and watching all the good stuff on Broadway. They come here and go, wow, this is really a cool place. So, getting a lot of compliments that way, and from the entertainers who finally say, wow, this is a great place to you set it up really well for the entertainers. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm one of them, right? So I knew what to do. But yeah, we're planning on October 1st. And by the way, Pat, also, I'm thinking about having, I'm not going to say who it is, because if they're watching, but I have somebody from overseas that I might come in to do the upside down straitjacket in our parking lot outside. So,
cool.
Yeah. And so it's, you rarely see that stunt, and you know why. Even if you did have the gimmicked everything, it's still not a fun thing to do when you're 50 feet or whatever it is up in the air, right?
The weirdest thing for me was because I practiced hanging upside down, I didn't have the jacket on, right? I just had my arm. I could steady myself. When they put me in the jacket and took me up and my arms were bound like this, I just spun like a top, and I was like, whoa, and your instincts as an entertainer is, I'm going to milk this and I'll be out of it. And then I'll just pretend. I was like, I got to get the hell out of this thing. Like, I was like, I'm going to puke on the crowd.
I wouldn't have done it. No way.
Yeah.
How long did it take?
Well, ultimately it was like a minute and 36 seconds or something. I mean, I was in a blind panic. And it was fine. I just I had no experience of doing it or with an audience or over the street. Like, everything was like a complete, like, it was just if I had a manager or agent or spouse or friend of any kind, I probably would have
any
been
friend.
fucked out of it. Yeah. But let me, Scott, let me pay compliment to both Jeff and David in our business, because these are two acts that have an extraordinary amount of detail in every beat of what they do. Every moment, anybody who hasn't seen their act or needs a refresher, I'm sure there's stuff on YouTube or wherever, but everything is thought out. It's not random. It's so delicious to watch these guys work, because everything is from the eyebrow raise to the pause to the reaching to the choice of the prop. And I think the disappointment to me is when an act is very episodic, where it's like, look what I bought, look at my other thing, hey, I can do that, right? Where there's no sort of flow or whatever. So these are two of the best when it comes to that. So
you're sweet.
It's true,
You're
though.
very kind, Pat. That's nice to say.
I'm going to go and look up and see what my next routine is going to be. I think I've got it now. It's good.
Going to be getting that at Abbott's. Speaking of which, that Mark Olsen again said that apparently Harriet's going to be making a guest appearance on Friday night at Abbott's this year. She's going to steal the show.
Are you kidding?
Who is?
Harriet, are you seriously? That's great. I hope so. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, Harriet came back in over there, by the way, Jeff, a while ago, and said she loves you too. And also, Pat, that Don Weiberg had asked about what your role was on Seinfeld and getting started on that, and I want to talk about that, but I haven't. We're kind of leaving David in the lurch over here, so I want to find out, David, about what you've been doing as far as you've been busy a little bit. I know you're getting ready to do more live shows, but have you done any virtual shows at all? You're really not a lecturer. You don't go out at conventions. I mean, you're an act. You are not. Do you lecture much? I've not heard your lecture.
Not a lot, but I've been lecturing since.
You got a very good lecture.
You got lecture notes and everything?
You saw my lecture? You saw my lecture, Jack?
Online. Penguin.
Oh, the Penguin one?
Oh, you did a Penguin lecture?
Yeah, I did a Penguin lecture.
That's
What'd you talk about?
I think.
Yeah, a few years ago. Yeah. I didn't do my straitjacket bit. I usually open my lecture with my straitjacket bit, which I don't actually use a straitjacket, which makes me one of a kind in that respect. It's not that great, but it is one of a kind in that respect. So yes, I have not been working. Okay. This is my first gig actually since March. I was in Thailand in March.
So that's why you wanted $300.
February. I was in Thailand at the end of February, and I wore a mask for the first time coming home from Thailand because this thing was getting going, and then that was it. My career was over, and I didn't know if I was ever going to go back. But I am. In fact, Jeff, I'm going to be at Abbott's too.
That's great. What a cool lineup this year. This is like if I wasn't going, I'd go just to see the lineup.
It's unbelievable. so good. Yeah.
And by the way, just for now, can I put something together now that I've heard everybody talk about straitjackets here? Because I haven't, but there is one gag. Do you guys all know Bill Herz?
Yes,
Of course.
We
Okay.
worked in Greece with him.
Exactly. Oh, that's right. Okay. So for those
You
of you
can
who
grease
don't
up
know
your straitjacket too.
For those of you who don't know who Bill Herz is, watching, Bill Herz is probably the number one corporate booker of magic in the world. I mean, for decades, he booked all these great gigs. I was very honored to be on a number of them for him over the years. And yeah, we did go to all kinds of exotic places as well. But one gag that he told me, and I hope he doesn't mind. I'm sure he never did it, but only because he's got these gags. He's got a great Rolodex for stuff. And one of the gags I thought somebody should do someday, is one of these things where you're sitting on a chair and you're in your jacket and you're giving like a little lecture about Houdini, and you're showing the straitjacket and how he got out and blah, and now you're building up that you're going to perform this great straitjacket escape just like Houdini, and it's really serious, and you're getting very in depth into the the workings and this and that, and the dramatic, everything's the lighting on you, and you slowly get out of the seat and you take off your jacket. And as you take off your jacket, you get hung up in your jacket and you start writhing around and you can't get out of it. And you finally start to go crazy on it and you can't get out of it. And you wrap it around yourself and you drop down on the stage and black out. I thought somebody should do that because I always thought that'd be a funny gag, but nobody's tried it to find out if it's really that funny.
Right.
I think I've seen something like that. I think Bargatze might struggle to get out of his jacket before he does his straitjacket.
Oh, is that
I
right?
could be wrong. And that's exactly how I build up my straitjacket routine. Same way. Houdini, I've been a fan ever since I was a kid. I worked at a locksmith store when I was 15 for 7 years. The master locksmith taught me everything about picking locks. I'm not bragging, but this is something I've picked up from practice and sheer repetition. And I say, in my bag here, I have a regulation straight. Oh, where's my bag? And I go, oh, hang on, I left it back behind the stage. And there's a door. I go through a door, and then I go, yeah, here it is. And they can hear me on the mic. And then I rattle the handle, and I'm locked in the thing. And then finally, I knock on the door a couple times, and I go, let me out. And then the person, whoever comes to let me out, like I hold the door so they can't open it. And then finally I go, stand back, and I shoot it with a gun. I shoot the door lock with a gun, and I come out, and then I go, yeah, here I've got it right here. I've got my bag. And then I open the bag, and I have one regulation straitjacket, and it's just this giant brassiere, like a beige brassiere thing. And it's closed, and I can't get the latches, I can't get the thing open. And so then I throw it on the ground and I shoot it with the gun. And so when I go to different countries to do this lecture, I ask them to supply me with a gun because you can't really travel with the revolver. And when I was in Spain, they got me this thing that I don't know. I mean, I normally have these 22 blanks, but this thing was like I don't know that much about guns, but it was loud as hell. It had these huge, they were like, it was insane. So anyway, I don't know that it was any.
Did you ever
not carrying, the gun because you'd have to a problem twice, not once, twice that I accidentally put my starter pistol, which I used for years, in a briefcase instead of my packed on luggage, and went through the X-ray. And luckily this was both before 9/11, but the first time, it went beep, and the TSA person says, "Sir, do you know you have a firearm inside of your briefcase?" And at the top of my lungs, I just was so mad at myself. I yelled out, "Shit!" like that, right? Which you really shouldn't do. And immediately within 2 minutes, I had the entire Wayne County Sheriff's Department surrounded me with their guns drawn. And then I explained it. Luckily, I got out of it. And then 3 months later, did the exact same thing in Minneapolis. and they had the fingerprinted in front of everybody. It was fun. And then I never used a gun at all ever in my act again.
Yeah.
Did you ever have trouble traveling with a bowling ball?
Yes.
Because I did. Mine was 9/11. This is mine's short. I'm sure you travel all the time with one, but I was doing Kevin James drawing thing. But I had a bowling ball with me when I was grounded at 9/11. Like we were about to take off, and the plane was grounded, and our luggage was separate, and so forth. But so I'm traveling with a suitcase with a bowling ball in it, which it's almost like a cartoon when it goes through the carry-on, and it looks like you've got this. It may as well have time bomb printed on the side or something. But they're like, what do you think you're doing? And I go, it's a bowling ball. And they go, you can rent them. They come with like as if I was a guy that needed my own bowling ball. I was like, yeah, just leave it here. I'll get it.
So you lost it. Hello?
Oh, he muted. I don't know what happened there.
Pat?
Say something.
Pat Hazel?
He's not muted. It's just I think something came unconnected, or maybe
it says mute on his by his name, the microphone.
Oh, it does. Yep, it says you're muted, and I cannot unmute you from my side. He accidentally muted himself. Well,
loveliness of online.
Well, he's trying to figure that out.
Hold up, write a sign and say, Pat, unmute yourself.
He can hear us. We just can't hear him. Hey, so Tom was asking that.
Let me tell my story about the bowling ball.
Yes.
I was coming back from Mumbai from a ship, and they said, and this was before 9/11 too, and they out of the blue they said, oh no, you can't check this. You can't take this in your carry-on. Because that's what I always used to do when I would fly on a ship. I would take a bowling ball in my carry-on enough to do a half hour in case they lost my stuff. So I had the bowling ball. I'd already checked my stuff. And I told him, I said, look, I've already checked my bags. I can't get this into my bag. I have to take it. And they said, well, you can put a sticker on it, a label on it. So, and check it here. So I wrote my name on a sticker and put it on the bowling ball. And when I got to Newark, I was waiting for my luggage, and the ball came down the ramp like at the bowling alley, boom, right into the thing. It's like the highlight of my career.
I like what Mark Holstein just said. He says that Abbott's we only allow live ammo.
Yeah,
oh,
you can do that.
Great.
You can do that at Abbott's. You're in the middle of freaking nowhere.
Yeah,
that's bad.
Yes, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
There must have been a boring meter or something that was like the filter that if I got boring, it shut me off.
The yawnometer. Nick Lewin was saying Mumbai is his very least favorite airport in the world.
Well, you can sleep in there. They have the chaise lounges where you can actually.
Really?
It opens at like 11 at night, and all the planes go out during the night, and they have these chaise lounges where you can actually nap, and that was nice.
Yeah. One of the things, by the way, Pat, again, we had a comment a little bit earlier that Don Weiberg had asked about Seinfeld, and I know he's going to be, I don't know, he might be one of your upcoming guests on the show that you're doing, which I want everyone to make sure that they go and check out, which, of course, is the Creativity in Captivity, which has kind of a dual meaning, and that just dropped last week for the first episode, and I would highly recommend people to go and check it out. Of course, first of all, you should be listening to the magicwordpodcast.com. But
no, not first of all. Not first of all.
Okay, I'm going to take you out of the stream again.
In addition to, maybe, but not first of all.
Okay, so lay it on me. What is that about? What is Creativity in Captivity?
It's a podcast. Yee-hee. And they say it's available wherever you get your podcast, which is wherever, I guess, the kids are buying the podcast these days from people in vans, or I don't know, why they say that after everything, but it's an interesting interview, candid conversations with creative folks. And indeed, Jerry Seinfeld is an upcoming guest, and Jason Alexander already recorded. And I talked to, the first one was Pete Docter from Pixar.
Yep.
Yeah. And episode 5 is Frank Oz. So I spend 40 minutes to an hour with each of these people talking about their creative process. But what I really tried to do was get a lot of different disciplines. So I talked to a choreographer and an aerialist and a ventriloquist, and each person talks a little bit about their perspective of the arts and what it's like to write or direct or produce. And they're dropping little nuggets of, inspiration and really some deep stuff too about imposter syndrome and what it feels like to do new material. Today, the second one dropped. So it's a brand new podcast, but easily subscribable. And we drop one every Thursday now, and we've done 45 episodes. So we're getting a pretty A-list.
You got 45 in the can, ready to come.
Yes. And it's a cool, I'm learning a lot. I just talked to a woman from London named Beattie Wolf as a musician, and she had a really cool thing. She was very young, and when she was a kid, she would go through her parents' albums and open them up and read the story and the liner notes. But now she's in her, maybe she's 30 or whatever, but when she first went to a record album, there was no vinyl really being put out. There were no designs for jackets, and she really missed that tangible, something to hold on to and so forth. So she did some really amazing distribution. She printed through MooPrint. She printed a deck of cards where each one had a scan, and you put your phone up and it would play the song and then put a music video into a little theater on your phone. And it was a really interactive idea. And she did a similar thing because of the idea of having a jacket for your album. She actually had fabric printed that had whatever the code is for the songs. And then she took it to a guy in London at the studio. His name was Mr. Fish. And Mr. Fish used to make the costumes for the Beatles and for Rolling Stones and folks like that. So he actually made a jacket and pants out of this fabric so that when you would run the phone by, it would actually play the songs on it. It was really amazing, inventive stuff. So I'm just sitting in a seat of curiosity, asking these people questions, and it's a very relaxed thing, but what we do it as an audio only, because I found that when people aren't on camera, they're not as performative. They tend to, it's more like you're on a phone call. So it's a pretty awesome way to get info. Pete Docter was just about to release the movie Soul, and now he's gotten his third Oscar for Pixar movies. He created and wrote Up and Inside Out, and now this movie Soul. And he spent an hour plus with me on just telling people what it was like, where the characters came from for Toy Story. And anyway, it was not a product of being completely captive in terms of stuck, but it was, what do I do with my time? And I really not a big fan of that word pivot. When people talk about pivoting, in basketball, that's like 1 foot on the ground and then you're spinning in a circle, right? So the idea of morphing into what you want to do or become was where the impetus of it came from. And I thought, well, my favorite thing to do is talk to creative people when we're developing a new project, or we're developing a new trick, or we're trying to come up with a new theater piece or write a song. So I wanted to what I get to do every day is be on the phone with people doing that, or Zoom or anything. I thought, well, why don't I just open those calls up to the public, kind of? So I just turned one of my sessions into a series of interviews, and the people who were hearing them said, oh, I'd like to do that. So we just kind of got lucky, and it opened the door to, I think, not big time secrets, but kind of,
it's kind of interesting when you're talking about, for an example, of doing script writing, and you're kind of going through different things in the morning, and then all of a sudden it's kind of like later in the day. It's like, we're going to go to lunch. And then it's during lunch when you really kind of open up, when you're outside the office and you really start coming up with some other ideas. Or like when you were with Larry David and coming up with some ideas, improvisational for Jerry Seinfeld show or whatever. I just to get the behind the scenes and interest in that, it just really fascinates me.
But Jeff can tell you that when you're touring in a show like The Illusionist, or you're with other sort of like minds of masterminding things or whatever, everybody's sort of sparked by each other. And if you're working on something, you want to bounce it off people. And we're lucky, I think all three of us are lucky, that when we were on the boards on a regular basis, you can try it. You can try it tonight. You can change it tomorrow. You can do it in the next town. They never, it's development. It's always the original stuff is, to me, one thing is about having the guts to do it. People talk about it. The mention earlier of Bill Herz talked about it. The first chance I would get, I would try it. That's the only way you can get there is to kind of on the pass fail somewhat.
Yeah. Speaking of that, of course, I have a thing on Wednesday night, which is Mincing Movie Magic, and we talk with scriptwriters and producers and directors and associate producers, assistant directors, and all these kinds of things and what people do behind the scenes. And I'm going to have you on an upcoming episode to talk about these kinds of things and script writing and everything. And in fact, will you be available next Wednesday, possibly? I don't want to put you on the spot, but I don't know what your schedule is. If next Wednesday might work for you.
Oh, is next Wednesday still happening?
Yep.
In a pandemic, you don't know what days are happening, what they're not happening. No, I'm not sure. I'd have to check my schedule on it.
Let me know. I've got that open right now, and I was talking with Tom Blomquist about that for the other show. Again, Mincing Movie Magic, and I'm kind of doing some cross promotion over here for the other podcast I do on Wednesdays. If anyone is interested in film school, we talk about film deep. We go in deep on film.
By the way, I see Jeff is raising his hand here in class.
No. I just wanted to let you know, Pat, that when you're talking about what's your podcast, John Pullum had asked if you mute your microphone during your podcast as well.
Yes, typically the whole time.
So we hear the other person, not your side.
Once I get them talking, I actually leave.
Right. I would too.
I don't just have a green screen behind me. I actually have a green screen of myself. And I could change you in or David, whoever I need.
That's so cool.
I want to just share with you because I have on my desk, I have a bunch of like crazy props that I built over the years, but because I did an interview this morning, which is why the Last Supper TV dinner was nearby.
What's that got to do with your interview? That have to do with one of the people on your show?
No. It was just that somebody wanted to talk to me about how far do you go for a gag. So,
oh, wow. Okay.
So I just grabbed a bunch of stuff out of the closet. And the thing is, this is something I would tell anybody, a magician or a comedian or whatever. You have to build it out. You have to try it. You can't talk about it. So, I made that big TV dinner because I wanted to make a fake commercial. And it turned out that I just cut the back out of a toaster oven and we were able to pull this big, long TV tray out with a meal for 12, and it had all the different peas and carrots and all that good stuff. But then I sat at the table with all these bearded guys. It just looked like the Last Supper, And and the thing is, it all hung on.
That's on YouTube.
Yeah, that one is on YouTube.
Oh.
Last Supper TV dinners. Yeah. So, but there was another thing that I just saw here that I thought, Jeff, you might appreciate, was that I used to tear the do not remove tags off of hotel beds, right? That's under penalty of law. And I would
part of your routine way back when.
Yeah, and I would just say, "Oh, I'm really, I've been doing this all my life. I'm when I go to prison and somebody said, "What did you do?" I dared to tear this off of you. But I had been doing it so long and collecting them that I actually made a bedspread out of
oh my god,
all put together. And I just so it was funny. I was like, oh well, I think it's funny. I guess I'll just have to have somebody make it,
Yeah.
You lead to an interesting predicament. I've heard Seinfeld talk about this on talk shows and elsewhere about why he can't work colleges anymore. Is there some place you cannot perform or some boundary you cannot cross? I'm asking all three of you guys in your acts. You feel as if, okay, a step too far, or not? Do you push the envelope? Okay, Jeff, let me ask you that first.
I started realizing never did a lot of colleges, but the one college I did do, some years ago, this was like maybe 18, 20 years ago. Even then, there's certain styles, and I don't know what the style, what turns the younger generation off to older, people doing entertainment. But even recently, I think 2 years ago, I did the Magic Castle, and there was a late show that was entirely made up of people going out to the prom, all 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds, whatever it was. They were all 20-somethings going out to a special thing. And they just looked at me like, we have no idea, like an alien. Who are you? What are you doing here? And we don't get any of your humor. And so what I do now is that's why I'm here in La Quinta, where it's basically affluent people that the average age is 75-ish or so. And I know that people anywhere over 50 can take a joke. We remember how to tell jokes. And even if a joke is not quite palatable, you still go with it. Anyone younger than 50, it seems like it's hard to put them in that mode of, hey, it's a joke. So do I have a line? All I do now is I do my first few tester lines. And if they're a little hesitant, it just takes a little more longer for me to get into, what.
Yeah. I want to pose this to Pat, because Pat, I know you got a hard out here because you actually have an interactive thing that you do on your website. If you go to Creativity and Captivity.
We're not doing it on my website, but there's a social app called Clubhouse. They've committed me to Thursday nights, for a window that each night of a launch, we do some extended content at 8:00. Well, my time is Central Time. So 6 o'clock,
I know that you have a hard out here. So could you address that question then also?
Well, I think I'm talking to pros here, but I think when they like you, when they like your character, when they can tell that it's not mean-spirited, when you're not taking down something, or when you're not crossing a line, and I'm a pleaser by nature, but I don't have anything, if I made a mistake or if I said something that was insensitive or something, I guess I would be all right with trying to adjust. But for the most part, I'm not one of those comics that is political or is religious or any kind of thing that's dangerous. But even male female content, I have this new joke which is about being confessional with the audience. I say that I don't know if I should tell you this, but I've had this thing for a married woman for years, and I tried everything I could to get her to sleep with me, and I mean, every time, no. And then eventually one day she divorced me. And what's funny about that joke is that there's a lot of tension in it, because in the beginning, people are like, this guy's a cad. Oh, Jesus, why is he even telling us? What an idiot. Like they really don't want to like me. And then when they find out that I'm the poor sap that hasn't had sex in 12 years or whatever their response to divorce is, there's a relief, and they're like, oh no, it's all, whatever. So I like to play a game when I have control of the fishing rod, right? But I don't think I would walk in randomly and try something that was, not tasteful, or, it is trickier than ever, even in conversation. And a word like midget might not have been a problem a while back. It now might be, or deaf, or certain words that, may have been even more relaxed we just need to be more aware. I think we're all growing, and we're, what I would say, speaking in draft at this time about race and about ethnicity and sexuality and all kinds of other things. So I don't know. I think we're gonna work our way through it, because people still do want to laugh. So,
well, I think that's true. And there was a thing Paul Draper had said some time ago in which he almost wasn't paid by a college because he had used a term apparently that was derisive to someone. And there was a girl wearing a T-shirt said "shorty," and he called her shorty. And apparently, shorty is a euphemism for a oral sex or something. And anyhow, it was weird. It's like,
no, that's not what they say to me. But I would say, first of all, Paul's problem is the word Draper. I mean, most of that word is not appropriate.
That should be Jeff's last name, Jeff Draper. On stage, the character you play as a Draper. There you go. Yes.
I want to see more of these guys. I do have to dart out, and I'm sorry to be, to pretend. Like, I used to laugh when the Tonight Show, the guests would always say, I got to be somewhere. I'm like, you got to be somewhere besides the Tonight Show, right? Yeah. But so that's kind of lifting you up, Scott, at this moment. But
Thank you.
Anyway,
I understand. You got to bounce.
That's
It's a pleasure.
Sign up for that, and you know what? It's free. Where do you get a free thing? All right,
Right there.
Good
Yeah,
to
that's
see you,
it.
David,
Bye,
Jeff.
Pat.
Thank you, guys. Cheers, guys.
Thank you very much for joining us over here. So there goes Pat, and then there were three. So let me address that question also then over you to David. What about you? Have you had now you have a very unique act from the standpoint that yours is a non-talking act, which Marvin Roy, which of course Marvin's Magic Theater is named after. Marvin Roy used to be able to tour the world with a silent act, and that was something he always, and plus it was non-threatening or insensitive in any way, just as your act is as well. And you can perform all over the world, and it's understood because there are sight gags that you're doing. But is there anything that you would do that you might need to take out of your act or adjust your act in some way to accommodate today's more sensitive audiences?
I don't know. I haven't worked in so long. I'm not sure if I even remember my act, for one thing. And you know, I don't necessarily have a silent act, Scott. I do a lot of like hour shows and hour and a half where it's talk. Only in the last 12, 15 years have I done silent where people know me for the silent thing. But you know, I think Jeff will agree that the funnier something is, the more people give you a pass on it. The more you can get away with. I mean, I worked with this guy.
The secret is making sure it's funny before you say it.
Yeah, there's the rub. That's been a problem for me. But I remember being on the ship. I had the opposite problem of you working for the young kids. When I was younger, I was working on ships, and I was all about like doing the Andy Kaufman thing, and that was a big mistake. And I didn't know any better. And I was the people, those old people were looking at me like, what? I mean, even now on ships, I come out, they say, please welcome the great Kaplan. And I come out and I take the big bow and my suitcase explodes and the sign falls off. And the people are looking at each other going, well, what? They said he was great. His equipment doesn't even work.
He's not so great.
and I mean, I'm not even, what am I supposed to do? Maybe I'm not presenting it clearly enough. I don't know. But now I'm old, so I think they get it.
You know, as far as some of these, just to get a little bit off the subject, but yet still on material and whatnot. I remember, you know, being when I entered the comedy club scene, there was, you know, all these new comics trying new material, and you can always tell, you know, if they're doing 15 minutes, they would do 14 and a half minutes of their own material that got maybe a few titters, and they do it night after night, and sometimes it never got better, but they would always end on a really solid standard joke that everyone, even if you knew it, and many people have heard it before, but it was a good joke and everybody knew it. And I would say to some of these people who like really torn up, like, oh, I didn't get many laughs, blah, I go, you know that last joke you did? Why don't you do like 15 minutes worth of those? And I said, you know, I go, forget, you know, if the original stuff doesn't work, so, I mean, yeah, you're not going to make it to the Tonight Show. Most of us aren't. I go, just go ahead. And if you're good at those jokes, stack your act with them. Go ahead. I mean, if you're so, you know, hard on yourself, and then once you get comfortable, slowly take those jokes out, replace it with your stuff, and then you can work on your own thing. But goodness gracious, you need to have a bit of self-esteem, you know, to try out that new stuff. And many people they never get there because they're never good.
And you need to have repetitions to get good.
That's right.
That's the problem. That's always been the problem for me. I not enough repetitions.
That's right. I try a joke 3 times, a new line 3 times. If it don't work, I don't do it anymore. That's it.
Yeah. Well,
so
you're smarter than I am.
Good advice over there. Well, this has been great. I thank you guys very much. This has been wonderful, and we could go on obviously for a much longer period. I think we've had last call by the bartender over here. So thanks again.
Can I just, did you mention my website?
I thought I did. Do you have a website?
I thought you wrote it down the other day.
I don't remember. What was that?
Was
it something like this?
I'm actually, I haven't really worked very much, but I have sold a little bit of merch.
Oh, you
And
got something? What do you sell?
Yes, I have these great Kaplan action figures, and I've got like 4 cases left, and they are factory seconds, but there's nothing wrong with them. They're just as good as the ones you get in the store. Oh, geez, I'm sorry. That's never happened before, but seriously, the kids love these things. There's no small parts to choke on. They're just a lot of fun. So
That's funny. That's funny. And I'm just going to go back to doing my kid show at the border. So I'll see you later. Who loves it?
Yeah, I love. Let me show that again over there. Oh, there's the. You're in there.
Yeah, no, this is where they put me after I did the show.
You joined the kids.
Yes.
Over there. And so again, if you want to check out Marvin's Magic Theater, go do that.com. And that way you can make your reservations, which I guess people place reservations online. Is that right?
The tickets won't be available. I'm not putting a new schedule up probably till summer because, yeah, probably sometime in July, they can go to marvinsmagictheater.com and buy some tickets. And I'm going to buy all 4 cases of those dolls there, Dave. That's hilarious.
okay. I'll mail them right out to you.
I'm going to shave and then I could use them.
Yeah. I need a silver Sharpie for the beard. Hey, I'll see you at Abbott's.
Yeah, it was going to be great. It's going to be great. We're going to have a ball. So it's the first time I spent a whole week there, probably in 20, 25 years. I don't know. So,
have you got a place to stay?
Yeah, I lucked out.
Yes, I got to find. So you got an extra bedroom there where you're staying? I've talked to Greg.
I got one. You can join me. It's up to you. It's going to cost you.
Well, my butt's sore from the last time. So,
oh, come on now. We were here and we went over. You went there. We got to get back to here.
Sorry.
What were we just talking about, Scott?
He was spanking me so hard, so hard.
Just talking about.
Yeah, what were we exactly, Dave? Thank you.
Yeah, as George says, Colon, it is. There's the place.
Yes, George will be there.
And yes, he is. He always does the Venturama over there, does a little lecture and everything then as well. So it's always good seeing George there too. And so it's all been good. Thank you guys very much for joining us tonight. Leon, thank you very much. Great show. And you guys are wonderful. Thanks again for being here. And let me just say, by the way, that before I kind of go take us out for the night, I wanted to remind everybody again, if you will, just kind of check out today's podcast, which is going to be, let me see, where to go? There it is. That was with Sean Jay over there. And if you like to watch it on YouTube, you can see that also as well, which would be over at youtube.com/Texas Magician. If you would subscribe, that would be so wonderful. We thank you very much. And also next week, we will not be having a show because I've got a show. I've got a Thursday night engagement that I'm performing. And so I will not have a show next week. But in the meantime, that gives you 2 weeks to have a chance to go and get your Martinis and Magic badge, which you can go right there to this website. And as you do, then you can put your name in over there. And that way you can have your own name badge you can kind of wear to the party then as well from week to week. And
I paid him extra so he wouldn't cover my face with the badge.
And just as a quick reminder,
you said.
So Jeff won't hold up his egg sack. Okay.
Damn, people, where are you going? Come on.
Really? So that's why I watch. Anyhow, so what I was going to say is that, so next week I'm not going to be, the following week, I'll kind of give you a preview for those who have stuck around this long. I'm going to be having Joe Given, Carol Massey, and Danny Archer, who are going to be coming on in a couple of weeks. But we're not going to be having one next week, so please stick around. So I'm glad that you guys were here. And Ron Sickney was asking also that he wants to order one of those dolls too. It sounds like that definitely should be on your website over there. Then the great Kaplan. That sounds great. And I will also ask you guys, just hang around for just a minute after I've actually gone through and we end the podcast. So this way, I just kind of say thanks. So if you'll just wait for a minute until after we have we go out of here, and I think this will be the end. Thanks again. I appreciate Pat Hazel being my guest here this evening. Go check out his new podcast, Creativity in Captivity. Thank you, David Kaplan. It's been wonderful. Jeff, always great catching up with you as well. And you guys are such good friends for being here with me tonight and for listening to all this and all the lead up to it and everything has just been so much fun. And I'm anxious to get back together in the real world here sometime soon. So, and look forward to particularly seeing you then in Colon. We'll play some golf together with Al Leonley. Go. Right. Very good. Until next time, that was Jeff Hobson, David Kaplan, and Pat Hazel. This is Scotty out.